And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You're joined once again with your hosts, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX CRM and Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast, as well as the wonderful community of HyperClean Car Care products. That's it.
Maybe.
I had to throw a community and I'm looking around. I forgot my drink
Absolutely.
upstairs. So I'll sip with you there virtually. There we go. I'm a tech guy, so I'll sip anyway. But yeah, man, it's been a couple days. How was your weekend?
Recorded a little earlier today.
Yeah, that's true. And
So, you know,
that's
hard
also
to go hard with a hardcore drink, at 12 in the afternoon. But I was like, okay, I'll at least have a beer, right?
yeah. And after this,
I
I have to
can,
go pick up my daughter. So I was thinking about it. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe you should. Yeah.
yeah. I'll
I was
wait till
like,
I
but
get back.
okay, I can squeeze in a beer. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I saw something the other day about migrating herds of animals, right? And I
Mm,
know we're both like into all that stuff. And I realized something. I'm gonna throw this out there. It might be a little far fetched, but hey, we're off the clock, so it
that's it.
doesn't matter. I wonder if there's a good correlation analogy with herds and thinning the herds and what happens during a migration in comparison with economic migrations. What is going to happen now that we're starting to hear? I know firsthand people having customers that lose their jobs, or something's happening to a customer that didn't want to do this coding or didn't want to do this full detail or didn't, right? There's inside of our economic ecosystem, the same as the ecosystem out in, the savannah, is migration, is thinning of the herd.
Yeah,
We cannot have every single person in business.
it's true. Yeah,
Can't. Like
it's true.
these times, right? We've all seen this little meme on social really starting to happen more now of, easy time makes easy men, or easy men make easy time, whatever. And then tough times make hard men. And there's that circular motion of it, right? Like
Yeah,
as we start to venture further deeper into a tougher economic time because of inflation continuing to go up, while then people aren't buying as much and more layoffs start to happen, it begins to thin the herd, especially whether or not you have chosen the right customers,
mm,
right?
that's true. Yeah,
It's back to what we always talk about. Marketing should be about attracting the right people.
hmm
If you got a lot of flies around,
shit.
your marketing's a pile of
Shit, exactly. And yeah, I think that's something we're noticing here because we just introduced something called the carbon tax to fight climate change. And so it drastically affected the price at the pump. And so what happened was about 3 weeks ago, all the mobile guys, woke up out of hibernation, started pushing out their ads with their pricing slightly increased from last year, but only slightly. And then they got hit with this carbon tax, which drastically affects what it cost them at the pump to drive around. But that's after they already started promoting all their cheap prices to try and
mm,
bring in the wrong customers, right? And so we've seen a lot of people that are now booking with us, and they're saying, yeah, I had booked with this other place that I used to use. They were mobile, it was great. But then they've now called me back saying I have to tack on a little extra because of the carbon tax and so on and so forth. And they said it was enough to rub them the wrong way. So we got some of their good customers, but then we also had some of their customers call us with the same story. But through our interview of them, we realized that they were shit customers. And so we said, I don't know, you should give them a call back and see if you can work something out. Because not every customer is a winner for us. You know what I
nope.
mean?
Mm-mm.
And just as much as they're interviewing our business, we're interviewing them as a customer as well. And I think that two-way street is something a lot of business owners miss. And I think
Mm.
it's just, I just need people with cars. Anything with four wheels or more, I'll take it. And it's like, well, you might be setting yourself up for some long-term failure there.
Mhm.
But don't worry, the hard times will make you a hard man.
And yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
Or you won't make it.
yeah, which is usually the case.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
that's thinning of the herd. Like
mhm.
it's not happy. It's not fun. Hey, listen, it's not like there's delight in it. It's It's a lot like you hear the lady that's on the safari with her camera going, "Oh no,
Yeah,
oh, oh no."
the
Like,
poor gazelle. Yeah,
yeah, they're like crying for the animal that's
yeah,
getting eaten, and they're like, "Oh, right." So
yeah.
it's the same thing. It's not like we're cheering. It is more of a, "Oh no," but at the same time, it's like, "Hey, this is
It's
this is part of the process. Like,
yeah,
this is the life cycle. This is the way it goes." And I think that's why I have more of a celebration for just being able to stay through, the transition.
mm,
Right. I think any of us that have been in business long enough, we go, hey, we know these times happen. And so it's what do we look like on the other side? What is the transition of the overall herd? Where do I now capitalize in it? Where is my opportunity?
yeah,
That's where I think there's a lot of difference between, and you'll see the ramp ups. You'll see the different people start to take advantage of the moment, not in a slimy way, just more of, hey, if I know some other people are struggling, now it's time for the marketing to ramp up because these
yep,
guys have this tax, and hey, it is what it is. Like, they
exactly.
will go
I
out,
didn't make the
you
tax, you know
will
what I mean?
increase. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's part of what you should do, pedal to the
Yeah,
metal now.
yeah, 100%. And reverse is true. Like if they would go and market the disadvantages of going to a shop,
Mhm.
use us, we're mobile, convenience, all that stuff, and I applaud them for that. While at the same time, we're doing the opposite as well. Like, hey, is your mobile guy charging more because of the carbon tax? Well, maybe you should swing by our shop instead, get your groceries done at the same time. You're actually doing more for the environment by doing two birds, one stone.
And it might seem more like, you guys are against each other, and I've always had this philosophy, and I think it's because, going from a mobile guy to a car wash that offered also then mobile in the same. I mean, we offered any option you could really choose. You want us to come pick it up? You want a full detail? You want a car wash? You want a mobile? I mean, we offered
Whole
everything.
spectrum, yeah.
Like, I mean, there
Yeah.
wasn't anything we wouldn't really do. So all the people that had to compete against us, I I've never felt. I mean, they weren't happy what I did, but they would be happy if I went out of business. I
Yeah.
I mean, I've shared the story. I actually sold chemical to a competitor of my old car wash, and he was thrilled to buy product from me because he didn't have to compete with me down at the car wash.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so this is part of the game, right? This
Yeah.
is part of the process. Like, if you haven't chosen the right customers, hey, it's not too late.
Mm.
Like, you,
Yeah,
but
you can literally start
you
now.
need to get going now. So let's get into then how to sell somebody a cleanliness program,
Mm.
right? How
Yeah.
to sell somebody a way of life, how to sell somebody what they need so that you will know that every month, every 2 months, every year, 20 years later, these people will continue to do business with you through the ups, through the downs, through the turns and the tides of no matter what your direction of life goes. You can intertwine your business with their
Mhm.
life with your business. To me,
Yeah.
that's maintenance.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Like,
it's that commitment to each other that they're
yes,
they're committing to you
yes.
financially and as a customer, and you're committing to them to provide that service. But that's where commitments come with a lot of, responsibilities, challenges, things like that. But if you overcome those and you fit into their lifestyle, I think that was a key thing you said, because that's really what the difference is. The on-demand detailing is easy. It's whatever works for them at that given moment, but it's the maintenance stuff. That's where you really have to pay attention to their lifestyle, what works best for them, you know?
And there's different types of people that this would fall into, and we'll get into that of who these people are that are best to go towards. But I think it's definitely more of a unique situation for a mobile detailer, but you are also a maintenance guy
Yeah.
while being in a shop setting.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And there's And we do some mobile stuff for some clients, mostly our windshield type things, stuff like that. But we used to do kind of a mixture. It was we had these like mini details that we did, but our big thing is the shop works really well for maintenance as well. I know a lot of people chase certain services, and we do as well to some degree. You know, the coatings, the PPF, things like that. But a big part of our bread and butter, especially in the wintertime, is our interior stuff. And 90% of it is it's all maintenance people. And the reason is because we attract all kinds of clients, you know, but we target actively. We go after specific customers that are going to meet our qualifications based on what we know works at our shop. And so for us, a big one is you know, the young professionals. That one is a huge market for us. Those guys that are, you know, they're realtors, things like that. They're going out there. Their office transitions into their car. And so when they're in there, they have a lot of them have concerns just health wise. I want to breathe proper air. Some of them, it's about presentation. I'm going to, you know, show a $1 million house or something. I don't want to be jumping out of a car that, you know, there's wrappers all over and there's this and that, you know, so they always want to look pristine. But it definitely starts with going the right route for your customers and making sure that you fall into their lifestyle. Like that same group I just mentioned, a lot of them, because they're busy during the day and they're on the road, that's their office. Like I said, it's difficult for them to bring it into the shop and then sit around and wait. That's their money making hours. But also, even if we were mobile, what am I going to do while the guy's doing an open house? Go detail it in someone else's driveway. You know what I mean? Those are his money making hours. So what we do is we have our regular business hours for on demand, but then our maintenance customers, we work with their schedule. So we have two detailers that stay after hours. And so sometimes they start their shift later. Other times they just work a double and they make extra money, but they handle those customers after money making hours.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. I was wondering as you were telling it, I was like, how'd you solve that problem? I was like, okay,
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Get the
Yeah.
guy after hours or earlier. Yeah.
Six to
Love it.
nine. Boom.
Yep.
Hmm.
So apologies, excuse me. So you mentioned young professional. I'm going to say the first category of the type of person that falls into a maintenance, and this is what we're going to always believe, what you believe. This is the pattern. This is the way. Is it's got to coincide together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's price. That's depth of detail. That's convenience. That's schedule. Everything has to coincide together.
Hmm.
It's like a dance in a sense, right? You
Yeah.
have to step, they have to step. You start to step together. Okay. So the first customer that we're going to really try and go after, you said young professional. I'm going to say high achiever.
Ah. Ah. Yeah.
Okay. So that could fall into the young professional and
Hmm.
it could fall into the 65, could fall into the even 80-year-old, that anybody that in the spectrum that is a high achiever. You're
Hmm.
okay. Well, why? What is it about a high achiever that they need maintenance? You go, well, let's go back to what we said at the end of last episode. The thing that we are going to provide and sell, they coincide together to all three people types, is those three words: peace of mind, right?
100%.
Each three personality types, each three customer types are all after peace of mind.
Hmm.
So the high achievers' peace of mind is cleanliness.
Yeah.
It's simply being clean. It's why they have, I've said, that, you know, if you can pull open a garage, and I don't know if they do it in your area, but in our area, and it's gone way down after Corona. I mean, the market on the dry cleaners got
Yeah.
just destroyed during Corona. So there might not even be any left, but that was one target that I always found. If I could open a garage and there was dry cleaners that would hang up their clothes, that meant that they got delivered and they used a laundry service.
Hmm.
Well, some people going, well, that's absurd. I go, that's a customer. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's somebody that needs a schedule. They
Hmm.
value cleanliness. I got it, I think, from my uncle who owned a landscaping business that he started out of college, just pushing mowing lawns,
Good.
grew it into this giant, greenhouse, sold off and moved away and enjoys his life. Right. But I remember as a kid always visiting him, and he had pressed uh those blue collared shirts button down, but then had
Yeah,
the press dry clean, that
yeah.
hard what's that spray that they would put on it, the starch. And
Starch,
then
that's it, yeah.
he would wear the blue jeans that would have the crease with the starch. He'd wear the same thing every day, which is why I think I wear the same thing every day. There's a pattern that happens with high achievers where they actually love a routine. They
Yeah,
love to wear the same things over and over. They love to eat the same thing, and they love cleanliness.
yeah.
Detail is different than cleanliness, I believe.
Mhm.
Really do. There's times to detail, and then there's times to just clean. And there is a difference. And I get it. You could go, hey, they correspond really together. And I go, I get it. They do. Because you do need to be detailed in your cleanliness, but it's not a full detail every time.
Yeah.
Right.
I know exactly what you mean. You're describing me right now.
So explain then so that they can understand what clean is
Mhm.
and why you need it a part of your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, the big things that you mentioned that describe me are number one, the schedule. That to me would be most important than anything else. I want it the same time this week. It's almost like I'm like on the spectrum where I'll lose it if like something gets disrupted. You know what I mean? Has to be like I want it this time every time, and there's usually a reason for it. I plan out my weeks well in advance. I plan out my schedule, and I know when I can fit things in and how things will kind of jive with each other. That's number one. Schedule is like super important to me. But the second thing is my priorities of what I'm looking for in a detail and the cleanliness of my vehicle are very different from my staff's opinions, from people in our group's opinions, from people online's opinions. A lot of people feel that a maintenance customer wants a full detail, showroom ready every week or every 2 weeks, and it's just not the case. For me, I'm not trying to impress anybody with my car. I enjoy my car. I love my vehicle, but I don't care so much what the exterior looks like. If it's clean enough that it looks presentable from the outside, if I have to go to a meeting or even just doing groceries,
It's
great.
clean.
Yeah, it's clean. That's all I want. The interior, that's where I sit. That's what's most important to me. But even then, I don't need it to be absolutely spotless. And to be honest, I'd actually rather it not be in some areas because I don't want to worry about it too much to the point that I'm like, oh my God, I don't want the kids to eat in the back seat. I don't want anyone to touch anything. Like there's just things I just want it clean so that when I get in, I know first off, if I had to pick somebody up, I'm not going to be embarrassed if they have to jump in my car. It's going to smell nice. There's little key points. A big one for me is just I look up at my mirror and I can actually see it's crystal clear, things like that. My touch screens, I want them to be nice, but it doesn't have to be immaculate.
All right. So the question I know everybody's going through their mind, well, what package is that?
Ah,
Because everybody has these packages, right?
yeah,
It's got to fall into then, well, what am I charging for this? Right?
yeah,
Is that it's always hard to say, but let's throw out 75 bucks, right? Some people are going
yeah.
to go, that's absurd. Okay. 150. I don't know, right?
It's like
You can't really
everything
put
varies so much, like region to
it
region.
is.
Yeah,
So, and then what goes into it? Listen, I found that you've got to put some and get him on some type of program,
yeah,
right? As you say, which we'll go into one that you did here in a minute, but something where they get a protective something on their outside.
yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier for you to wash.
That's the
Okay,
key
because
reason. It's yeah,
that really is the key reason. I found that I needed to start doing a paint sealant before my customers because I knew I was down to a time frame and I didn't want to have to worry about the wipe down afterwards, or we didn't know as much about. Of course, there was no coatings, there was none of that, and we didn't even really know so much about water. At least I didn't. Right, so I didn't use clean water. I
okay,
got it out of a hose wherever I could find
okay.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I battled a lot compared to people that would go, well, yeah, you could have just got it. The way I handled it was, let me put a paint sealant on. Let me make sure I can dry this car quickly and get so I did it really to help me, and it kept the bugs off. It kept the etching. So it was part of the program. You
Hmm.
can get them to pay a little extra, whether that's, use something like we're about to release a stack, which is a sprayable, pure, 100% true ceramic coating, not a water based, but a solvent based ceramic spray coating. You could use something like
Beautiful.
that. You could use something like Uno, something down so that you get a protected vehicle so that while you're washing it and drying it, you can get it done in an efficient manner. You need to
Mhm.
charge for that. Okay. You figure it out, but you got to start with protecting the outside. Okay. Because
Yeah.
you're on your schedule and you're on their schedule.
And
Right.
that's where a key point there too is I think that making it easier for yourself, you have to look at the long term, and that so like you don't want to charge this, charge that, charge this, charge that, nickel and dime them in the beginning, because it's not so much what profit you're going to make off appointment one. It's what you're going to make off the longevity of that client's relationship with you, you know? So like for us, for our maintenance customers, we include stuff like that for free. And we do the same thing with, fabrics and so on and so forth, because it makes our job easier moving forward. Customer feels happy and they're super excited and they stick with the program, right? So that's my recommendation. But if you do feel you have to charge for it, then figure out a way to,
And do it. Yeah.
yeah,
Interior, simply, revive, spray some on a towel, wipe the doors down. Right. This is just a regular,
yeah,
simple clean. Windows, though, definitely need spotless, clear windows. You
yeah,
got to spend your time on the windows, and you got to spend time on the parts that, in between. There can never be stuff in between the seats. There can
yeah,
never be stuff in the cup holders, right? You got to get the crumb, like any of that stuff got to be out. But otherwise, you're not really scrubbing down things. If you have somebody that does have a destroyed vehicle on a regular basis, then give them an elevated experience and charge them accordingly.
yeah,
They will understand. This is the dance in a sense, which is
yeah.
why it's hard to put a number on it. But number one key point about this Porsche, Mercedes, Audi guy, Range Rover guy is schedule.
Yeah,
My guy said that launched me into how I learned about this guy was 7 o'clock on a Friday morning. I need you at my office. Can you do it? The dance becomes on Thursday night. If you're at the bar, can you leave the bar because you have to be at 7 o'clock,
exactly. Yeah.
at the customer's house, right? Whatever, define whatever role of part of your life. Because I think there'll be a lot of shop owners as we get to some stuff and as we progress through this, they might see the need to hire this service out,
Hmm.
right? Hire somebody or pay somebody to go fulfill this service. So either way, you have to meet this high, net worth, usually high achievers schedule, and you have to be punctual and never miss. And if you stay in their schedule, 1 year, 2 year, 20 year, 30, like
Yeah.
you just stay with them, right? Like this
This-
is the dance with them that
Yeah.
dances with you because you solve a great need for them. If you can be the guy that shows up,
Yeah.
if you can be the guy, just like their watch that they love, that is,
Yeah.
you've got to
For
do
me,
that week
yeah,
in, week out. And if you
100%.
do, there's a long tail, a real long tail. So
Yeah.
let's go to number two.
All
All
right.
right. Number two, personality type. You've got a really great story to back up this
Oh,
personality
yeah.
type. This is, and you can fill in the blank with soccer, lacrosse, dance, ballet, anything that is a competitive.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm going to leave out baseball because even though there's baseball competitive, you got to really, it's going to be real hard there. There's going to be a lot of Dodge truck people. I just had to. Anyway, there's football I'm going to leave out. Most of these, normal mainstream sports, basketball, I'm going to leave out, even though you could get into some competitive basketball. But, I'm going to go the other direction that as a kid is more club and competitive type, right?
Mm.
So anything in that world, or which I think you talked about, like dance or ballet, that type,
Yeah.
the mom, okay?
Yeah.
The mom is most likely probably married to a high achiever, which
Mhm.
is personality type number one. So is also going to have some type of schedule, right?
Yep.
Especially since their son, daughter plays competitive or some type of program that is not recreational, right? A non recreational athletic son or daughter will have a mom who is also normally a high achiever because they are married, usually, then to another high achiever. So, once again, it's schedule
Yep. 100%. And
100% schedule.
they're the ones
Absolutely.
that usually manage the household schedule. I manage my
Mhm.
work schedule, for example. My wife, we use Google Calendar back and forth. She sends me invites and I'm just accepting all day. She handles all that stuff. The schedule is super important to her. And if something goes off she's I'd say she's even more like religious about it than I am. And I'm very rigid with it. So it's yeah, hugely important. And that's where I think schedule in all these cases is going to be that's the number one thing people are signing on for is that this is going to become part of their life, fit into it.
So you normally will meet this type of person off of a disaster, you got to save me. My kid spilled something. My
This or
kid
that.
tracked in this. My kid did something. I need help.
Yeah.
That's generally how you meet this lady.
It's true. We met one, she had crayons melted in, the back where you open the door, the little part you put your fingers in. There were crayons melted in there. Kid just left them in there. Son.
The absolute best words you can ever hear out of a woman's mouth. My husband will kill me.
That's how many commas and zeros she's willing to put on that check. 100%.
If you heard that saying and you go, how dare you? That's terrible. Not for you.
Yeah.
Just go on out of this episode. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
for maintenance people.
Yeah. 100%.
If you heard that comment and you go, yes, then you bet
That's
we're
where
on the
I'm
same page.
suiting up, putting on the cape. I'm like, I'm here
Yes,
to save the day.
absolutely. You save her day, and
Yeah.
then there becomes the hook.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. I noticed you had, right? Fill in the blank.
Hmm.
Let's make sure to not let this happen again. And let's get over here and get on your schedule. I know you got soccer on Tuesdays. I'm mobile.
Hmm.
Tuesdays at 5. We'll be there every week. This is the best peace of
Worry
mind
about
you
it.
could ever have.
Yeah. Right there. That's the pitch.
That's the
That's it.
pitch.
That's the pitch.
The pitch,
That's, yeah. It doesn't have to be any more complicated. That's the pitch.
right? Hi, ma'am. I know you. I saw a bunch of Kleenex. I know you care about your cut. Like, hey, I saw you had a bunch of mud tracked in from soccer. Like, you've got to get on her schedule.
Hmm.
Really hard to do this at her house. Now, if you can find the best time at her house, win-win for everybody. But
Hmm.
most likely, especially if you're mobile, you want to really get that hook in, you meet her at soccer practice.
Yeah.
And here's the next tale of reason why. What's she gonna do if you're at soccer practice cleaning her car?
Uh, yep. She's gonna be a chatty Cathy. Perfect.
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am. I can be there. I can get you next. Yes, ma'am. You
Exactly.
got practice on Thursday? Okay, I'll be here on Thursday. Yep,
Yep.
I've got one at 2:30 on Thursday. I'll be there at 3:30.
Yep.
Like, it's exactly what'll happen now. You've you have a little different situation with being
Yeah.
at your shop, but you've capitalized on this customer also.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've done this in a few ways, but one way we looked at what was around us, and so there were grocery stores, things like that, of course. And so the one way for us is listen, you're going to have to get groceries. Usually that's something scheduled unless there's an event of some kind. They usually like to go out at certain times, and so we would target moms that go to the nearby grocery store and would say, two birds, one stone, get that peace of mind. There's nothing like putting your groceries in a freshly clean car and then heading home, you know? And so in time for dinner. But that's the one where we've capitalized on that. And something cool we did recently, I wanted to share because when we talked about the maintenance stuff well, a couple days ago, and we were introducing part one of this, I set myself with a challenge and I said, okay, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to ask every customer that comes in that matches our profile because we were going after the high achievers and the soccer moms, things like that, but they had to fit a certain bill. And we said, find out from them if any of them know a mom that's going to be giving birth soon, you know?
Mm.
And so we ended up getting 6 people. So they told us, yeah, my friend so and so, da 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 da. So we got 6. Now, mind you, it's only been a couple days, right? Now, the beautiful thing about this, though, is we have a 6 for 6 closing ratio. And sure, what we did is we gave them a gift to give to their friend who's expecting that they can come in for a free pre-baby detail. Okay. But what it's going to be is not a full detail. It's the same detail that we do for our maintenance customers. And they get this for free if they come in for a presentation about the maintenance program. So we had 6 of them come in. 5 came in initially, which was great. And I was hoping for the last one to show up before we recorded this, and they came in. This morning we closed them, so I was really happy. So 100% closing rate, which is awesome. Anyway, we got all 6 of them on a maintenance program, and we gave them their first visit free, but now they're locked in. So we do contracts for these, and so they're locked in. We got them for the next 12 months. We're going to wow them, knock their socks off, and really become part of their cycle, part of their life, part of their schedule, just embedded. It's something that just gets checked off all the time. It's that convenience, peace of mind. It's just there, right? And so, anyway, it was a pretty interesting thing we did. I'm excited to keep that
Very
experiment
interesting. I
going.
love it.
Thanks. Yeah. I was thinking after our last episode, I had so many ideas just rattling through my head. And then we had a woman message and she said, yeah, I'm expecting to give birth in about a month. And I was hoping that I could come in before the baby's here and this and that. And then light bulb moment. I was like, man, this is who we need to go after. So it's like everybody knows someone that's, if you target the right people and ask, I'm not going to go ask, certain people, do you know anyone having a baby? If there's an 18-year-old kid, it's not the right demographic to ask him. But we targeted, the moms that came in, some of the dads, things like that. Anyway, it worked out really well.
The next level data would be what cars those ladies drive.
Mm. So four of them, minivans, of course, but very particular. So we have Siennas and we have
Toyota Sienna. You
yeah,
beat me
thank
half
you.
a second.
Yeah, and then we got one Volvo SUV. So
Volvo's a good. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely. Yep,
yeah, so,
Volvo. See some of the you could get some women that would drive a Lexus in
yeah, the
this world,
RXs,
but
yeah.
but it would be what, like that G, is it GX? Is that the right,
Oh, the boxier one? Yeah,
the boxier one?
we get the RX a lot, but a big one for us for some reason is the Acura, the MDX. We get a
Yeah.
ton of those. I don't
Yeah,
know
that
why.
would be better than a Lexus, I think. Yeah. For some reason I put realtor lady in Lexus. I
On
just I don't know
purpose.
why. But this
Yeah,
isn't that lady, right? She's the high
yeah,
performance lady. This isn't this
yeah.
lady. But Toyota Sienna definitely. Uh, I don't think the Chevy Tahoe type. I don't think those. I'll go Cadillac Escalade. Absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
The black
100%.
Escalade.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That lady's gonna need it. Definitely black Escalade lady.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
yeah. One we've had luck with converting into maintenance clients in the past has been the Nissan Rogue. But
hmm,
oddly enough, when a man drives it in, and then we get to talking to him, and we find out it's his wife's car, and he's taking it in for her,
to
right?
take
Because
care of it. Great
and
for him.
so what they
Yeah.
all told us was the same thing.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like to, she's intimidated to go to car
Mm-hmm.
places.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were told.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started saying, well, how about this? Next visit, bring her down. And that's when we ended up hiring the second female receptionist. And so now we had 2 of them there. And then we introduced one other key component. And you're not going to believe this, but guess what we put in our office that really helps with the women? A puppy. We introduced a puppy. So then the women come in, it's like fishing with dynamite. It's just amazing.
It's like
But
fishing with dynamite.
yeah, I'm telling you. But yeah, so anyway, we found ways of making them feel less intimidated when they came in. But that was an odd one. We found a correlation with the rogues. But yeah, I don't know if there's something there that I have to dig more into the data, but But yeah, primarily it's the Siennas and the Odysseys though. But yeah, so okay, so we got a lot of overlap there between those two. You know,
So final person, and this is I saved the easiest for last, right?
all
This is
right.
the easiest. Every one of us will know this. It's a ceramic coating customer.
Mm, yeah.
Whoa, hold on, wait. You mean my lifetime coating that
Yeah.
has a warranty and got put on Carfax needs to be maintained?
I'm gonna do it once and never see him again. Yeah, that customer.
If you're the guy that let those customers leave,
Oof. Thank you for the maintenance customer. I appreciate you passing it up to me. Jeez.
you
Easiest
might be
sale in
the
the world right
guy.
there.
You might be the guy that gets, thinned from the herd. You
Mm,
might be the guy who I feel sorry for you, the lady
yeah,
on the camera going, "Oh, it's so sad," right? Like, you
yeah,
might be that guy.
yeah.
It's not too late.
You can do something about
OrbisX should
it. Yeah.
have all your coding customers in an email list. It's not too late.
You can hit them up specifically. Yep.
This is if you're that guy, it's not too late. You can hit them up specifically. Like
Yeah.
this, when I said I saved the easiest,
Hmm.
I didn't. When a lot of people go in sales, you got to start with the easy hanging fruit. No, I
Yeah.
waited for the easiest to the end, so that if you got to this point and you had any questions, you now know specifically if you've put any ceramic coating on any customer's car.
That's the perfect intro to your maintenance program right there. Yeah.
No more excuses of how do I find somebody.
Yeah. You
Answer
already
the
did.
question. Have you put a ceramic coating on somebody's car?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, every single one of those people has a chance to go into your maintenance program, even if it was X amount of years ago, right? It doesn't
True.
matter.
Yeah.
This is the 100% prime candidate. There is no, it's all fictitious. And more people are finding out about the bullshit called warranty and Carfax and all that
Yeah.
crap. And you should not want it either.
Yeah. Because what you want is that recurring, you know, yeah, 100,000%. Yeah.
If you were that guy, it's not too late.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
If you thought that way in the past, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
Today's today. We can start again.
We're
You know,
about to cross a river here, and there's a gator
yeah,
right there. You sure you want to go that way? If it's not too late, we can go down to this part of the river, right? Like,
true.
it's
Yeah.
not too late. Like,
Yeah.
you don't
It's
have to get
true.
thinned out this way. Okay.
Yeah. We did the same thing and we targeted them. So we ran a promo a long time ago targeting Uber drivers, DoorDash, Lyft, all those drivers because we knew that A, they got a stipend from whatever company they were working for that covered some of the costs of a detail. But then we also knew that they were likely good candidates because they're having, random people in their vehicles, so on and so forth. And with them, we figured, okay, they're putting a lot of kilometers, a lot of miles on their car. So they're going to likely change their car up sooner rather than later at some point. But keeping it clean, keeping it maintained is going to be important to them. And instead of pitching them on like, hey, we could get you in, a 10-year coating or something crazy like this, we would just pitch them on the maintenance program plus a coating. But the coating, we would say, we're just going to put a 1-year coating on it. And so that's what we did with all those bottles of Uno. We would just, boom, 1-year coating. But then that way we know we're going to be seeing the guy often. And so what? In 12 months, we just put another coating if we need to. It's not the end of the world. But we don't want to just put something on his vehicle and then try and convince him that this is some sort of, shield that's going to just protect his vehicle forever and he never needs to come back and see us because that's not beneficial to us in the long term. We're constantly going to be fishing and we don't want to constantly be fishing. We do always want to fish, but we don't always want to be fishing. And I know that might sound like it's the same thing, but it's really not. We want to make sure that we're constantly have lines out there, but that we also have fish that are just jumping in our boat. That's the best way I can put that. And that's where it really comes down to attracting the right customers, making sure they don't end up as a pile of poop, as we talked about earlier, but then also making sure that you've packaged your things right for those customers, because it is different than your on-demand services. And I think that's a key takeaway, is that you've probably got to adjust your schedule to match up with their schedule. And that might mean shifting some things around. It might mean hiring somebody else that's just going to take on that side of things for a bit, which I think is a key component in a lot of businesses.
You,
And
you go back to my story last week about the people that came in to organize my house
yeah.
and then use the same high paying, employees to try and clean it.
Hmm.
No, I didn't want that. I wanted just somebody to come in and clean. I know it's a
Yeah.
less pay. Like I know, right? It's the
Yeah.
same theory, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's why I wanted to bring this part up into this moment. Is if you're a shop and you go, hey, I don't have time, or hey, that's not something I want. Like, okay, hire somebody in,
Yeah.
train them to just do the
Just for
package we
that.
talked about, a simple
Exactly.
wash and clean. Like this is very simple detail. This is
Yeah.
now transitions you to stop being called a detailer, which goes back to that question about, like, do you
Like,
really want to be called that?
or
Or
a
would you
business
rather
owner.
be in car care?
Yeah.
Right? Would you rather just be in the car market where you help people with their cars?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's two ways. You've got the first way, and OrbisX helps you with if you got a customer that's got a coding, go back into that. You've got a list of it. You've got now emails that you can send them. You can get them on a phone call because you should have it tracked, with their phone number, and just give them a call. This is the easiest way into a maintenance
Yeah.
program.
That's the low hanging fruit. Boom.
It's the
Yeah.
lowest, and this is the easiest. Okay. Now, if you still go, hey, I'm with you on maintenance. I just don't want to do the work. I don't think my customers want me to do the work. But you might be like more calls that we're getting of, hey, I need something on my shelf to sell these people
Mhm.
because uh, they keep asking how they're going to maintain it. Now, this is the next wave that you absolutely have to get into. You get into this in a couple ways. That way, on the shelf, or here's the cool part that will happen now with
What was that?
OrbisX, and
Yep.
I'll let you explain it. Right, like they will begin to start getting emails that then they can purchase the products from a link that then they get the products as well
Yep.
as you get, and we'll fill in that blank, at some point in
Exactly.
time. But this is then another long tail of win-win between everybody. This is ultimately kind of what you would go, hey, this becomes community, right?
Unity.
Like this does become like, so explain
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's true. So we're working on integrating basically Marshall's inventory from hyperclean car care products into OrbisX, and it'll be available in ways that as a shop owner, you'll be able to, purchase products and things like that to replenish your inventory, but also there will be ready to go kits for maintenance customers that they'll be able to purchase, and you'll get a kickback from those sales as well. And it can all happen on autopilot for you. So basically, email pitches can go out to customers, following up on appointments, and things like that. You can choose to enable which products or how often, things like that, and they'll be able to make those purchases, and you'll get a kickback from that, a commission right from Mr. Marshall. Yeah. So in a nutshell, it's really going to be just a kick-ass system that helps you make more money without really lifting a finger, which
And
is
maintaining,
the key
right?
here, right? So
Because there's a
yeah.
lot of people that love, and that's really reemerging more and more. We've talked about it over the past episodes here with you as well as with ours. Is this headstrong back into the body, body shop type, market of
Mhm.
some brands,
Yeah.
because there's the, hey, go down to the parts store and pick up a cleaner. That
Yeah.
is reemerging heavily.
Hmm.
The
I've
amount of
seen it.
people contacting us going, hey, my coding people are wanting to clean it themselves, right? that industry is growing dramatically. It went from what was projected as a $4 billion industry to now what will be a $5.06 billion industry in 2025. That's next year. So you got to just ask yourself
What
the
an
question,
increase.
if you know that that's what it is,
Yeah.
how much do you want
You want a
to take?
piece of that pie? Yeah, exactly. The pie is
Like,
going to be there.
we're going to give you the system,
Mm-hmm.
but then
Just
becomes
got to turn it on.
how much of that pie do you want? Right? Like,
Exactly. And that's where tackling it from both ends by doing the maintenance, but then also the easiest way for you to scale is offering them a DIY solution as well. So that's
mhm.
where, man, fucking magic. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited just thinking
Me
about
too.
it. Trust me. Oh man, can't wait to put it into action. So I will keep you guys posted on that as well. And so this is part two, but I do have more to talk about this, so we're gonna postpone that. I have to go pick up my kid, but we'll do a part three on some maintenance stuff and a little more about what's coming with the integration with the Shopify side. So yeah, it's gonna be some exciting times. So yeah, stay tuned. Marty, appreciate you as always. And guys, be sure to check out Pints of Polishing podcast and reach out to Marshall too about becoming a distributor and also for getting some products that's going to make your maintenance stuff easier as well. You know, you've already got OrbisX, you're already dealing with one of the industry's best tools. Now it's time to use Marty's tool. No pun intended. All right, guys, stay safe. Community, we'll see you next week. Cheers.